I can't think of a better way to do a devotion today that's meaningful than to talk about what's going on in Houston and also what's going on with a storm that looks like it's bearing down on the state of Florida and the east coast of the United States. However, that can go between the Keys and Cuba and go over and devastate some of the same areas that have already been devastated, and or could hook around and come across the peninsula of Florida or go up the panhandle of Florida into Louisiana, Georgia, South Carolina. So right now it's too far out to be absolutely sure where it's headed, but one thing's for sure, none of the predictions of where it's headed will leave America untouched. And we're talking about 175-mile-an-hour winds. In James chapter 5, verse 16, it says, "Therefore confess your sins to one another and pray for one another so that you may be healed. The effective prayer of a righteous man can accomplish much." So my call to you today, for everyone that watches this video, is to pray like you've never prayed before, that this storm would turn sharply to the right and go back out to sea and leave everyone untouched. The second thing that I want to share with you is that it's one thing to pray, it's another thing to put whatever resources you have at your disposal to God's use. And James 2:16 says, "The one who says to them, 'Go in peace, be warmed and be filled,' and yet does not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that?" It's time for us to give sacrificially to the helping of those who have already been harmed by the storm in the Texas and Louisiana region, to be prepared to help those that may be affected by the coming storm, and to do it with good stewardship. Now, my personal preference is to give through Christian causes, and Christian causes that I know that are going to put 100% of whatever they receive towards the actual cause. Let me give you some examples. Samaritan's Purse already has 5 units down in Texas and Louisiana, and you can give to them through P.O. Box 3000, Boone, North Carolina 28607. You can give to the Salvation Army, where a huge portion of whatever you give will go to the actual cause. You can give through Salvation Army at P.O. Box 1959, Atlanta, Georgia 30301. You can give to the Texas Southern Baptist Convention, where there are volunteers, not paid workers, but volunteers that are ministering through the local churches that are right hands-on in the communities that have been devastated, including churches that have been devastated in that area, through 4500 TX 360, Grapevine, Texas. I'll put all of these addresses on the end of this video, and would encourage you to go online if you want to get your contribution going quicker. I'm sure each of these organizations has an online giving technique. Red Cross is fine, United Way is fine, but a portion of whatever you give to them will go towards administrative paid workers. With the Christian organizations, they use predominantly volunteer free labor in the actual locations of the devastation, to help take care of the needs of these people and the days after. Most people remember Southern Baptist Convention sent hundreds of teams into New Orleans after the storm, well after the storm, with tractors and trucks, hauling out the debris and tearing out wet drywall and putting in new drywall and rebuilding homes. This was all done by volunteer labor at no expense to the people involved. And every dollar that was donated to these organizations was used for the actual helping of the people. So let me encourage you to think about the Christian resources who are already there in the communities, already living in the churches and the communities, and can get the needs of the people that are in need. And that your 100% of your money will go towards the actual cause. So again, let me encourage you to pray, and pray like you've never prayed before, that God would direct that storm back out to sea. But also then don't be like James 2:16, just talk about it. Put whatever resources you have available towards the current need and potential new need as this storm is approaching the continental United States. That's your thought for the day. Please pray. Please give what you can to help these people who have been affected by this storm. It tells us to love the Lord our God with all of our heart and all of our mind and all of our soul, and our neighbor as ourself. And neighbors are whatever color they are, whatever background they are. Do it in the name of Christ. And when you give through Samaritan's Purse, Salvation Army, and the Texas Southern Baptist Convention, you're giving it through a Christ-driven organization where they'll not only have their physical needs met, but many of their spiritual needs met as well. Your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.